What do you do when? I love what do you do when questions on training courses, because I think it's when people are asking us their what do you do when questions that people are envisaging putting solution focus to work back in their work. They are fine-tuning the approach to their settings. And one of the what do you do when questions that I think comes up most frequently is, what do you do when you don't agree with the client's answer? For example, what do you do when you don't agree with the way the client has answered the best hopes question? Or what do you do when you don't agree with where the client puts themselves on their scale? And the simple answer to that question is, it's none of my business. It's not my business to have a view on the content of the client's life. The client is their own content expert. I'm merely a process expert. What job is it of mine to have a view on what the client should want, on where the client sees themselves in their life? This approach is non-normative. We're not assessing people. How could I have a view on what the client should want? Of course, that's the simple answer. And there are some exceptions to that. There are exceptions that don't come up often, but they are exceptions. And one of those exceptions finds itself rooted in the realm of ethics. If the client were ever to answer a question in a way that was unethical, then clearly my ethical responsibilities are greater than my direct service responsibility to the client. So if the client were to answer the best hopes question in a way that actually I couldn't accept and couldn't go along with, then that's something that I would have to talk about and negotiate with the client. In the same way, my responsibility for the client's safety is a higher order issue. And therefore, I may need to ask questions about the client's safety that do not come directly from the client's best hopes answer. Of course, if I'm involved in working with a client and my responsibility is a statutory responsibility, that's a wider responsibility than merely being accountable for what the client wants. So, given those exceptions, what do we do, for example, and this is a question that's often asked, what do we do, for example, when a client says they're at 10 on their scale? Let's imagine the first meeting, a second meeting, the client says 10. I'm at 10 on my scale. And we framed 0 to 10, the scale, as 10, all of your best hopes already happening, and we've identified what those best hopes are, and 0, the furthest from that you've ever been. Well, when clients do that, and very occasionally they do, then clearly I would be very interested in what is it that's telling them that things are at 10 and not lower. So I'd be eliciting their evidence for that. What might you do next? You might begin to ask questions from the perspective of the key stakeholders in the client's life. So where do you think your mom would put you? Or where do you think your social worker would put you? Or where do you think your substance misuse worker would put you? Where do you think those people might put you on the scale? And how come they'd put you there and not low? And what would one point up from their perspective look like? And what might be the consequences if those people are powerful stakeholders in the client's life? What might be the consequences of those powerful people in the client's life failing to see any progress towards their tens. So we'd begin to ask questions along those lines. Alternatively, of course, if there aren't any of such people in the client's life, we might begin to ask questions about the client's confidence of maintaining 10. So where are they in terms of their confidence? 10, they're completely confident of maintaining it. Not the opposite. If the client perhaps is less than fully confident of maintaining 10, maintaining the 10 that they've reached on their best hope scale, then we might work with them in growing their confidence of being able to maintain 10. Equally, of course, we might smile and ask about 11. What would 11 look like? But an alternative would be, and this would, I think, be us taking the client's response really seriously. An alternative would be for us to ask about the best hopes again, to renegotiate the best hopes. Here's someone who has told us they want something, and now they've just told us that they fully have it. So what are their best hopes from our work together? One of the toughest challenges in solution focus is letting go of content expertise, letting go of knowing about the client's life, letting go of having views on how our clients are doing, and listening to our clients and taking them seriously. It is that, the listening, the taking seriously, the trusting, the refusing to know better, that makes solution focus both such a difficult and challenging approach for us to use, but also such a radical approach.